I had the joint on mute the other day.
Well, that's what he was like. They can't hear you.
Yeah, that was off. That's what one of our teachers used to say when we was fasting Ramadan. In class, you get something wrong, he'd be like, psh, y'all fasting, man. Y'all can't do nothing while y'all fasting.
Assalamu alaikum.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. So tonight, inshallah, we're going to continue with Kitab al-Siyam, the book of fasting from Minhaj al-Salikin, the path of the Wayfarer. Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Saajid rahimahullah. We stopped on the voluntary fast. That the voluntary fast, which is not Ramadan. Ramadan is not a voluntary fast, but a voluntary fast can be performed, or the niyyah, the intention can be made in the middle of the day. As long as you didn't eat anything before you started fasting, you didn't need to do anything that will break the fast, right? So a person might start fasting, a voluntary fast throughout the rest of the year, for example, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Assuming they didn't eat before that time, they didn't drink anything before that time, they woke up 10 o'clock in the morning, they prayed Fajr, laid down, right? Woke up 10 o'clock in the morning, and then they decide to fast from that point on. For a voluntary fast, that's fine. But for an obligatory fast like Ramadan, that's not appropriate, and it's not going to count. Why not? Because the intention is a prerequisite for worship. I made my intention at 10 o'clock to fast the rest of the day.
No, prerequisite. You gotta have it before you start the worship.
Yeah, but I'm at 9:59. I'm not fasting, but I'm making my intention now. So from 10 o'clock on, I'm fasting. That works for voluntary. Why doesn't that work for? I mean, that works for recommended voluntary fast, but it doesn't work. That doesn't work for an obligatory fast. Prior to the Adhan of Fajr. For the obligatory fast, your niyyah has to be before the day starts. The day starts when? At the Adhan of Fajr is the start of the day. So you have to have your intention to fast before the start of the day for the obligatory fast. All right? Not for a voluntary fast. So meaning your niyyah to fast that day for the obligatory fast has to be before Fajr. Why? Because if your niyyah comes after Fajr, that means that a piece of the day went by, right? A piece of the day went by and you didn't have the intention to fast. And in order to fast, you have to fast the entire day, not a portion of the day.
So what about people who like miss Fajr and just like wake up late?
What about them? What's the question?
Like, does that still count for them as like fasting like the entire day, even though their intention was like set?
It all goes back to what? What's the most important thing when you're fasting for a day of Ramadan? Yeah, we talking about obligatory now, right? Obligatory fast, Ramadan. He said, what if they wake up after Fajr? Do they still have to fast, huh? As long as they had the intention before Fajr came in, they fine. A person might oversleep Fajr. A person might sleep through the Adhan of Fajr, not eat suhoor, and miss the slot, wake up 8 o'clock in the morning, right? They had the intention to fast before Fajr though, so the fact that they overslept Fajr doesn't affect the actual validity of that day of fasting. طيب. The next issue, قال رحمه الله, this is the next point. It says والمريض الذي يتضرر به الصوم بالصوم والمسافر لهما الفطر والصيام. Two people here, two categories of people. The first category, the sick person. These two people have an option of fasting or breaking the fast. All right, it's two categories. If you fit one of these two categories, you have the option of fasting or breaking the fast. If you don't fit in these two categories, you don't have the option. This only applies to these two categories. The sick person that will be harmed if they were to fast that day. The sick person that if they fast is going to cause the sickness to increase. All right. That's not like a regular sneeze, a regular common cold. Those generally are not affected. Right. But there's some sicknesses that if you don't eat, it makes it worse. Right. Those people have the option to either fast, right, or they can break the fast. Yes.
Wouldn't that be obligatory for them to break the fast, since it's gonna make their health like decline?
It depends on the severity of the sickness.
Okay.
Depends on the severity of sickness. So how do we know if the sickness that we have? How we make the distinction, or who's to say if you fast it's gonna make it worse, and if you don't fast it's not gonna make it worse? The doctor. That's a medical call, right? That's not a call that we just call. No, I had that before. You might want to know that. That's a a call. You go to the doctor. The doctor give you a diagnosis, and they let you know. You might want to get a second opinion. And we did a little bit of this last week. Wait, till I took that. Yes.
What about the case where someone who fasts and like their sickness, like fasting will bring them more harm, and they continue to fast just because they feel like their iman is at a level that they're able to fast even though it brings them harm? Do they bear like any, like, is it more cruel or haram in that case?
Depending on the severity of the sickness. And all that's going to go back to the doctor. If a doctor gives a person a diagnosis, right, that if they fast, it's going to cause harm and it's going to lead to this and that, then in that case, the person is supposed to take the advice of the doctor. There's nowhere Islamically we're supposed to harm ourselves by fasting. There's plenty of other things. There's other ways to make up for it based on our deen. Not based on what I'm saying, based on Islam. There's ways to make up for it no matter how you personally feel about it. All right, it's not our personal call. All right, I just feel like I can do it. And we're going to get to that in the next coming up. So the first person, they have the option. Again, they have the option. If they, right, because the doctor might say, for example, well, you can do like, for example, you could do 2 days at a time, but then the third day you need to take a break. Right? And then you need to go back. So it depends. This sickness, it depends, because this is a sickness that, of course, all of them, we're not talking about the common cold, y'all. You get the sniffles, like, man, I'm going to just make the day up. Nah. Right? Something that's going to cause a real problem. Or the person that is traveling, the traveler. The traveler has the option of either continuing the fast or breaking the fast. Now, this is a good question. When do you become a traveler? 50 miles outside of your city, based on your region. 50 miles outside of the city you live in. Just because you go from southwest up to northeast, you're not traveling. Because a lot of people think that. Brother asked the other day, like, yeah, it might take you sometimes 45 minutes to get from southwest to northeast. That's not traveling. Traveling, you went outside of your city limits, and not just you went outside of your city limits. You went a distance outside of your city limits, right? And we're not going to get into the issue of the khilaf on what is a travel and what's not. Just using one opinion, in our terms, it will be 50 miles. You travel 50 miles outside of Philadelphia or more, right? And yes, some scholars say that the traveler is what y'all, the people, what we consider traveling, right? We're just going to stick with the one that's easy, just to make the issue clear. You become a traveler. You travel 50 miles outside of the city limits of Philadelphia. At that point, you're a traveler, right? So methaline, for example, going to Chester. How far is Chester? Is it 50 miles? So you're not a traveler. You don't go to Chester and break your fast. You don't have the option because you went to Chester today to break your fast. Clear? You go to Cherry Hill. Is Cherry Hill 50 miles? Like, we're using the 50-mile code, y'all. We're using the opinion of 50 miles or kilometers, 50 miles. If it's not that time, then you don't have the option. You can't go to Cherry Hill. And since I'm in Cherry Hill today, we went shopping. We walking around. I'm tired. I'm gonna break my fast as we traveling. Nah, it's not. You haven't reached it. You haven't reached the conditions. I'm sorry. Forget the names. How far is Washington? Right. So that's how you know. Further. Yeah, but we're not doing that right now. Man. We just want to know right now who's the traveler. You went 50 miles outside of locality, and then we get to that. That's another.
So, question. All right, this is a scenario.
You're
on your way. Let's say you're on your way to Washington. Are you not a traveler until you get out of the 50 miles out, or once you make your niyyah to start that journey, are you a traveler?
Allahu A'lam. But you make the dua for traveling upon leaving your area, right? So when you start your journey, make the dua for traveling. Let's just say that's the case. Just for argument's sake, you traveling 100 miles, right? You go on a 100-mile trip, you leave, right? You hit the road, and what was the question?
Are you a traveler at the beginning of the trip or when you get out of the
Jade,
radius?
What's the beginning of the trip?
Once you leave, let's say you leave the house or start the car or start.
As long as you're inside of the residence, you're a resident. The travel doesn't start until you hit outside of the limits. Clear? You outside your house in your car. You leave. You're on your way to DC. You're on your way to Florida. You're sitting outside. The car's warming up. You're not a traveler. All right? But you could wake up that day knowing that you're traveling and not fast from the beginning. Right? That'll be a broken day. Either way, it's a broken day of fasting. But we're talking about the traveler. So either way, those two categories are people who have the option to either fast or break the fast. What was the first category? You gotta be more specific than just a sick person.
The sick person that got diagnosed and the doctor saying that if you fast, it will cause harm.
It could cause harm to you, right? They have the option, right? And the second group, or who? The traveler. They can also fast. Just because you're traveling, when you travel, doesn't mean you have to break the fast. You can travel and still fast. Or if you're traveling, so if two of y'all traveling together, y'all might be traveling together. One person break fast, the other person keep fasting. It's not an issue. Y'all gotta start arguing. You ain't on the sunnah. I knew I shouldn't have traveled with you down here. I should have. It ain't that. It's not that deep. All right. You have the option. If a person chooses to fast, then he can fast while he's traveling. If a person chooses to break the fast, they can break the fast while they're traveling. The fact that you broke the fast, you're gonna have to make it up, whether you're traveling or not. Any day that we break, we gotta make it up. The days don't just drop off. I was fasting that day. I fasted for a week during Ramadan. So I got 7 days to make up. Those 7 just don't drop off. Those 7 days are owed. We still owe them back after Ramadan. Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. Because that issue of breaking the fast or fasting while you're traveling is an issue of khilaf. So some people might argue it's sunnah to break the fast. And if it's sunnah to break the fast, and there's more reward in following what? The sunnah. But that's the argument. We're not getting into that. Dayyah. The next point, and these are people, it says, وَالْحَائِضْ وَالنُّفَسَاء يَحْرُمْ عَلَيْهِمَا الصِّيَامُ وَعَلَيْهِمَا الْقَضَاءُ. Two more categories. The woman, both of them are women. The woman on her menses. The woman on her menses. And the woman who has what? Postnatal bleeding, right? Postpartum bleeding after they have a baby and they still bleeding. It says, yahrum. It's haram for those two categories of women to fast. Haram meaning what? It's a sin that if she fasts while she's on her menses, it's sinful. And whenever we do something haram, that means it's a sin and it's deserving of Allah's punishment. Not just that we can't be doing that. No, something haram, meaning it's a sin. That's a sin. And the person who does it deserves to be punished by Allah. Even though Allah could forgive them, we open ourselves by doing a haram to Allah's punishment. So the woman on her menses and the woman who has postnatal bleeding, right? Postpartum, both of them haram. They're not allowed to fast. Even if she feels like, she might say her menses is only 4 days. She don't want to miss 4 days of fasting and she feel like she got the strength. She might still, I'm going to fast anyway. It's haram. La yajuz, not permissible for the fast. So they have to make the day up, right? And what?
Make the day up and
You gotta feed them on the phone.
They don't have to feed nobody. It don't count. That day doesn't count for them, right? So on both of them, that they can't fast, haram to fast, and they have to make the day up. So even if she did fast, she might say she postpartum might last sometimes for, I don't know, sisters. How long the postpartum last? Sisters, the brothers don't have postpartum bleeding. Any sisters over there? Huh? 6 to 8 weeks. Allahu Akbar. They bleeding for 6 to 8 weeks after a baby. Allah forgive us, brothers. Harming these women who carry our children, bleed for 6 to 8 weeks, and then we totally don't have no respect for them. Some of us. Allah tests us with the fitna, not respecting women based on where we come from, and we carry it over in the deen. We don't respect our women who pray and say the shahada, and fast with us Ramadan, and stand at night with us. And then we disrespect them, and some of us put our hands on them and bleed for 6 to 8 weeks, and they can die on the table. They can die on the table, bringing in the child that we love, and then we name them after all that. While they're bleeding at 6 to 8 weeks, she might feel like, because the blood slows down, right, when it's starting to lessen up, she might feel like she's strong enough to fast. And still, it's haram, it's not allowed for her to fast, and she still has to make the day up. However many days during Ramadan she missed, she would have to make them up. Clear? Tayyib. The next group, which is also sisters, the women. وَالْحَامِلُ وَالْمُرْضِعُ إِذَا خَافَتَ عَلَى وَلَدَيْهِمَا أَفْطَرَتَا وَقَضَتَا وَأَطْعَمَتَا عَلَى كُلِّ يَوْمٍ مِسْكِينًا. This is for the pregnant woman. There was 2 different categories for the sisters that are pregnant. I hope the sisters paying attention, because these are the same questions, right? Every Ramadan. We got to memorize these because there's nothing new under the sun, right? There's some things that stay standard, right? Every year it's going to be the same thing standard. That's why when you hear ulama answering questions like that, they've been sitting there answering those questions for 40 years straight. It's the same question, right? It's the same question. Some things don't change. If a woman is pregnant, right? She fears, and it's Ramadan. Right now, it's a bunch of sisters pregnant, right? And it's Ramadan. First question, is it permissible? Is it allowed in Islam for a pregnant woman to fast on Ramadan? Yeah. Sisters say yes, huh? It's a yes or no question, Sheikh. Yes, tayyib. Everybody agree with that? Tayyib. 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 Now, the sister's fasting, but now she fears by her fasting, she's going to harm the baby. Right? In this case, if she fears that she's going to harm the baby, in this case, 3 things going to happen. Right? She breaks the fast, she can eat. Right? Number 2, she has to make the day up. Right? And number 3, she has to feed a person for every day that she broke a fast, because she feared she was going to harm the child. Clear? Everybody with me? It's the same rule for the pregnant woman and for the breastfeeding woman. It's the same. Sisters breastfeeding, is it permissible for a woman who's breastfeeding? Is it permissible for the fast on Ramadan? Sisters? Read. It's permissible to fast, right? So it don't mean, oh, my wife breastfeeding, she can't fast. No, that's not true. She can fast. My wife pregnant, she can't fast as Ramadan. She can fast Ramadan. She could be pregnant and fast Ramadan. But now she fears, she bring a hold, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of funny. I feel like, right? That's a different situation. Now the exception comes in. So it's possible Either A, she fears that she's going to be harmed. It's two situations. One situation, the woman fears she's going to harm herself by fasting because she's pregnant or she's breastfeeding. The other situation, she doesn't fear for herself. I'm fine. But she fears she might harm the child. Clear? If she's only worried about herself, there's only two things she does. She has to do. She breaks the fast. She can break the fast that day, but she still got to make the day up. If it's only about her. If it's only about her, I feel I'm going to get sick. I don't know, I'm pregnant. She's not worried about the baby. She's worried about her. Then she can break her fast, but she still has to make the day up. Two things. If she's worried about the child, it's not about her, it's about the child, the fetus. In that case, it's three things. Break the fast, make the day up, and feed a person for every day she did that. Why did they say this? Because she broke her fast, not based on her for an outside reason, which was the child. Clear? Is that clear? And that's for the breastfeeding woman and for the pregnant woman. I hope that's clear. The next point, العاجز عن الصوم لكبر أو مرض لا يرجى برؤه فإنه يطعم عن كل يوم مسكينا. The next issue is the person who's not able to fast due to age. They're just old, elderly, right? They reach a certain age and they're not able to fast. What's the age? What's the age, y'all? 50 and up? 60? My sister's laughing. What's the age? 50 or 60? And if we say 50 or 60, how do we know that? Just throw a number. Huh? There's salam to our cats. Allahu alam if the number is mentioned specifically, because it's 60-year-olds that are in very good shape. It's 60-year-olds that health is better than some of the 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, right? Inshallah. So Allah alam on a number specific that you say, well, listen, we don't have any text to say, listen, once you're 55 or once you can ride the bus for free, once you can get on SEPTA for free, you don't have to fast no more. We don't have that. That's not from our, we don't find that in the Quran or Sunnah. So that's not our text. So we don't have a text designated to say, right, that once you reach this age that you don't have to fast anymore, right? So if that's the case, because a person could be young, they could be 30 or 25 and they can't fast, right? So once a person reaches an age, I don't think nobody's going to disagree, for example, on a 90-year-old, right? I think we all agree that an 80-year-old is elderly. Let's just use something easy. So just to make the issue clear, somebody's 80 years old, right? And their body is not able to bear the fasting anymore. And if they're not able to bear it this year at 80, then what about 81? They're going to be able to do it next year? Huh? More than likely, no. So more than likely, they're not going to be fasting anymore the rest of their lives, right? But it doesn't mean, y'all, it doesn't mean they can't fast. But if it comes and they're not able to handle it, then they have another option. Clear? We're not saying 80-year-olds can't fast, because somebody's going to say, well, my grandma, 89, and she's been fasting. Alhamdulillah. She could be 102 and fast, right? If her body can stand it. But if the person that reaches old age is not able to stand it, then it's another option. And as that option is, as it says, to feed a poor person for every day that they don't fast. So let's just say a person was 80, right? And let's say, for example, they said they know they can only do like 10 days out of the month. They know their body can handle 10 days out of the month. They 80, 85. So they say, you know what? I'm going to save my last 10 days of fasting for the last 10 nights of Ramadan. They want to fast on the last 10. That means they missed how many days? 20 days, right? They missed 20 days. That means they have to feed a poor person for 20 days or 24 poor people. Clear? Everybody see how that works? That's if the person is elderly and they're not able to stand it. The second person is the sick person. This sick person is not like the other sick person. There's two categories of sick people. The first person, they said that they'll be harmed by the fast. This sick person here, they have a sickness, like we say, a terminal illness. They got a terminal illness that, as they say, is not curable. Allahu alam, right? They say it looks like you're going to live with this sickness the rest of your life. Who says they're going to live with that sickness the rest of their life? The doctor. This is a medical call, y'all. This is a medical call. The doctor say, okay, this is the illness. It's probably going to be with you the rest of your life, and it's going to prevent you from fasting. Like right now, people, I got to take medicine twice a day. Can't miss it. If I miss it, cool. They fall into the category of a person who what? They can't fast because they have a sickness that is, as we say, is not curable. And just because you have a sickness that's not curable doesn't mean you can't fast. But if the doctor tells you, it's a doctor call, it's not curable and you're not able to handle the fast, then that's a different situation. Clear? We got to be real specific when we put labels on stuff. I'm sick, I ain't fasting. Why are you not fasting? Because you're sick. What category do I fall in? It's a category for sickness, right? If this person, they have a terminal sickness so they can't fast, meaning they have been diagnosed, the doctor, the medical physicians, they said, listen, this is a terminal illness. You can't fast. If you fast, you got to take this medicine 3 times a day. You can't do it. At that point, now the person's next option is to feed a poor person when Ramadan comes. Clear? The next question is, should the person they feed be Muslim or not? What y'all think? It shouldn't matter. Who's Ola? Who deserves to be fed first? Fasting Ramadan. Why? You fast in Ramadan. This is another issue that's going to come up for Zakat al-Fitr too. We fast in Ramadan. The Muslims are fasting. The non-Muslims are not fasting. Who deserves a meal at the end of the day or during the time of Ramadan for a person who's not fasting? It only makes sense to try to find, search high and low, especially a city like this. We crazy. I can't find no Muslims. You can't find no Muslims that need to be fed. We got to search high and low. This is worship. This is worship. I'm not able to fast. I'm covering an obligatory day. This is an obligatory day from Ramadan. We should be searching high and low to find somebody to feed. I'm not saying we can't feed non-Muslims. That's not the point. I'm saying a non-Muslim might not be fasting that day. It's a Muslim that's fasting that day who's poor. They don't have anything to break their fast with. We should be looking for those people and seeking them out like high and low, like really trying to find them. But the last issue is that's not the last one. The next issue, من أفطر فعليه قضاء فقط إذا كان فطره بأكل أو بشرب أو قيء عمدا. If a person breaks their fast, right, the only thing on them is to make up the day, right? Qadha, they got to make the day up. Brothers, just because you was weak for a day, sisters, you was weak, you're not used to fasting, you break the fast, that don't mean you don't have to make the day up. You got to make the day up. And as we say, that day is on your neck. You owe that to Allah until Yawm al-Qiyamah, until we meet Allah. It's owed. It's a debt we owe. It's not because I was weak, I'm not used to fasting, the days are long. We can't just break the fast and then I'm going to say, well, and never make it up. No, you owe the day until you make it up. After Ramadan, that means you got 6 days to make up. Oh, but I was traveling. Alhamdulillah. You was traveling? It's permissible to break the fast while you're traveling, no problem. But you still owe the day. The day is still owed. Just like the salat. The salat is still owed. Because the whole day went by and you only prayed 3 out of 5, it don't mean the other 2 just dropped off. I'm going to just try to get all 5. No, you owe those. Those are owed. We should never get in the habit of thinking that, it just drops off and I don't have to do nothing. No, the fasting day is the same way. Before I forget, whenever you're in a sitting like this, y'all, whenever any masjid you're in, it's Ramadan, you fasting, it's always safer. It's always safer, sisters. It's always safer to wait for the mu'adhin, the call the adhan, to break the fast. For some reason, we all got phones with apps on them. Whose app is right? No, somebody's is, but whose is it that we're gonna determine? Somebody who in here could say that I know my time is the right time? So why would we start breaking at different times when we all here fast and we all hungry? Everybody's thirsty, everybody's hungry. We got dates, we got water. 1 minute ain't gonna hurt y'all. It's safer.
You know what a paper towel?
Yeah, it's in the office, not on the door. 1 minute is not gonna hurt us. It's safer not to break our fast and to delay the fast to be sure, because then we use the hadith. But the Prophet ﷺ said, hasten to break the fast, rush to break the fast. Yeah, you rush to break the fast when you know it's time to break the fast, when you're sure it's time. How are we sure if 4 different apps going off at 4 different times? It's safer to take the latest time. If we take the latest time, if somebody's app goes off at 7:26, 27, 28, and 29, it's safer to take 29 and 30. That's not going to invalidate our fast if we took 29. But if the fast is broken at 7:30 and we break at 7:26, that means we got to make a day up, all of us. That's just a side point while we're in here, because every time it gets time closer to then, that's why I tell them, no, I wouldn't even gave these out until 1 minute, because brothers get these and start eating them. They phone go off, I'm eating. They delaying the fast. Like, we ain't hungry. I'm hungry. We all hungry. Everybody hungry. Everybody thirsty. Why are we going to hold up all the Muslims from breaking the fast when the sunnah of the Prophet is the rush to break the fast? But rush to break the fast when? When you're sure it's time to break the fast. If we sitting in a setting like this, what's the most surety we have that it's time for Maghrib? The brother calls the adhan for Maghrib. Oh, it's time for Maghrib. Then we break on that. That's a side point. But yeah, the only thing to do for the person who broke the fast, if we break our fast, meaning I'm supposed to be fasting today, I intentionally, may Allah forgive us, I can't do this, and they break a fast. They eat something, they drink something, right? They eat something, they drink something, right? They vomit, they throw up intentionally, they make themselves throw up. All these things break the fast. Eating intentionally, drinking intentionally, making yourself throw up intentionally, getting cupped, hijama, if you don't know what cupping is, when they suck out the dead blood from the body, intentionally during the daytime of Ramadan, or a man and a woman, a man and a husband, a man and his wife, the spouses are having foreplay and somebody ejaculates. They didn't have intercourse. He didn't enter into her. They foreplaying and ejaculates, or she. All of those things break the fast. Clear? It was no intercourse, but all of those things break the fast. And if that's the case, they got to make the day up. They have to make the day up. Either way, the day has to be made up. But yep. Everybody clear? They eat intentionally. They drink intentionally. They make themselves vomit intentionally. Right? They get cupped during the day of Ramadan. Right? A man is playing with his wife, a wife playing with her husband. Right? They having foreplay, they playing around, and one of them ejaculate. Right? They have to make the day up. We got to be careful. This is a pillar. Fasting Ramadan is a pillar. Yes. It's getting blood drawn the same as getting cupped. That's an issue. That is an issue. Allahu Alam. Somebody getting blood drawn during the day during Ramadan. Does it break your fast? Be careful. Be careful. All those appointments, if they're not necessary, do them after Ramadan. That's a gray area that the early man debate about, if that breaks the fast when you get blood drawn during the day during Ramadan. Those type of appointments, doctor's appointments, if you could put them off to after Ramadan, we should try to put them off. If you can't, that's one thing. If you can, put them off to after Ramadan so you don't have to deal with that gray area. Some ulama consider that to break the fast, but we're not going to go into that khilaf, but that is an issue. Tayyib. The last point here, there's one thing that breaks the fast, and you have to do a little bit more than just make the day up. One thing breaks the fast, and if you break the fast with this action, there's a little more than just making up the day. And of course, y'all, anytime we break a day of fasting during Ramadan with no valid excuse, you're not sick, you're not traveling, you're not old age, whenever we just be like, man, I'm going to have to chalk this one. Haram. It's a sin, number one. It's punishable by, it's a punishment. Allah could punish us for that. Just so I'm gonna chalk this one and start tomorrow. I'm gonna knock this whole week gone. No. This is not an optional fast. Every day that we don't fast and we have the ability to, and we don't have a valid excuse from our deen not to fast, is a sin. So we got to make tawbah. We need to repent to Allah for not fasting that day, and we still have to make the day up. The day still has to be made up. Clear?
Brother is working. He's doing severe work.
Mm.
He fall out. And he break his fast, drink water. Can he still fast?
Nah. If he falls out and he's sick and it pushes him that far, then we're not. This is a good question, Sheikh. We're not charged as Muslims to kill ourselves fasting. But at the end of the day, he's still gonna have to do what? He's gonna have to make the day up. You gotta kill yourself out here. The deen is not hard like that. We gotta kill ourselves fasting. But either way, it still has to be made up. So yeah, we got a couple minutes, huh? Oh, we got like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Well, what time does it say on the app, y'all? 7:27. I don't know. We're going with the latest app. We're going with the latest time. I think it's probably 7:30 today or 7:31. 7:30? We got a 31.
All right, I got a question.
Hold on. We got a 30 and a 31. We're going with 31. 34? Somebody got 34? Oh, I was about to say. 31? We got two 31s. Anybody got something at the 31? We're going 31 now. It's either safer to go with 31. Say, for example, the sun set at 29 and we waited to 31 to be sure. Is our fast broken? We good. See, somebody's going off now, 28. But if we waited, if we do break our fast ahead of time, that means all of us sitting here. We got to make the day up. It's safer. It's safer to take the latest time and just to be safe. But yeah, there's one thing that if a person does, they got to do more than just make up the day. That's what? Yes. One thing that breaks the fast, but if you break the fast like this, there's more than just make up a day. Having sexual intercourse during the daytime, whether you're married or not married, don't make a difference. Sexual intercourse during the daytime of Ramadan, number one, it's a sin, right? Number two, that's not a valid, it's a sin. Why? That's not a valid excuse to break the fast. Not that it's sinful to be intimate with your wife or husband. That at this time, during the daytime, it's not a valid excuse to break the fast. So now they got to make the day up, right? On top of that, of course, you got to make tawbah. You got to repent to Allah because that was haram, right? There was 3 options. One of the options we don't even have an option of. That number one, they make the day up and they free. If we had slaves, you would have to free a slave. What did that mean, freeing a slave, though? What does that equal? You losing money. It's a payment. Slaves are what? Property, right? You giving away property if that was the case. We don't have that option. That's not our reality. The second option is what? Or not the second option. The second in order. If a person is not able to free a slave, which is all of us, it says for legit, Fasiyam Shahrain, you have to fast for 2 months straight. 2 months straight. Because you had intercourse during one time during the day during Ramadan. So you have to make that day up that you broke with sex, and you got to fast for 2 consecutive months. That's the penalty for breaking the fast with sexual intercourse during the day of Ramadan. 2 months on our calendar, the Islamic calendar, is at least how many days? Huh? At the most 60, at the least. At the least 58, because our months are either 29 or 30 days. So you're talking about fasting at least 58 days straight. No days off. That's a penalty. That's a penalty for having sex during the daytime of Ramadan. If a person's not able to fast, why wouldn't they be able to fast? Health. Not because that joint rough, man. I ain't gonna be able to do that. I'm gonna just go with the next one. No, that's your penalty. May Allah protect us all. That's a penalty for doing that. A person's sick, they couldn't fast Ramadan anyway. They could fast Ramadan, but they sick or whatever, they're not able to. In that case, then they have to feed 60 poor people. They have to feed 60 poor people. Yes. I'm sorry. Oh man. If you masturbate at night, masturbation is a sin. At night, it wouldn't break the fast because we're not fasting. But either way, masturbation is a sin. I don't know. Allah, that's 31. Too late, the advance, Sheikh. Call it then, Sheikh. You gotta call it then, Ikhwan.